Dear students, in the previous class we discussed the cunning policies, how the British used the cunning policies to acquire the native rulers, and we discussed the first Anglo-Maratha war. Dear children, today we are going to see one of the cunning policies of the British. You know, the most familiar Governor General who used his tricky policy, his cunning policy, that is, that is subsidiary alliance. Lord Wellesley and subsidiary alliance. Today we are going to see Lord Wellesley and subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance. Okay. The expansion of the British Empire took place at the faster pace. The faster pace means the pace, the movement, hejjegalu, a faster pace after the arrival of Lord Wellesley. Image, Lord Wellesley. After the arrival of Lord Wellesley as the Governor General of India. See, when Lord Wellesley came to India as Governor General, a new fast took in the expansion of the British Empire in India. By the time, the powerful states of Marathas and the Mysore had become weak. Actually, they are the major contenders who in the south and the southwestern part, Marathas, then Hyder Ali, Tippu Sultan were the major contenders and the major obstacle on the way of expansion of British Empire in southwestern region. But when Lord Wellesley arrived in India, at that time the powerful states of Marathas and Mysore had become weak. This became easier to expand their empire in India. See, when they became weak, it helped to extend their territory in India. Lord Wellesley is very intelligent Governor General. He is crooked, and he followed three policies to expand British Empire in India. Let us see one by one. The first one is subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance. The second policy is waging war against new states. Waging war against new states, new local leaders, new local kings. Waging war on new rulers of India. Waging war. Third point is administrating the states directly that were under the control of British. See, how did he plan to occupy all India? The first one is used the policy subsidiary alliance, first point. The second one is waging war against the new states. Third one is administering the states directly that were under the control of the British. This is the third policy. And now among that, the subsidiary alliance is such a cunning policy. It helped to acquire more states in India. Now we are going to see subsidiary alliance. Lord Wellesley brought this policy in the year 1798. Who brought this policy? Lord Wellesley brought this policy in 1798. Who brought this policy? Lord Wellesley, then Governor General of India. He brought the policy in the year 1798. Why did he brought this policy? He brought this policy in order to bring the local kings under his control. in order to bring the local kings. There were so many local kings. They were ruling petty kingdoms, tiny kingdoms, minuscule kingdoms. And to bring them under their control, he used this trick, subsidiary alliance. Now we are going to see the conditions of subsidiary alliance. Let us see one by one. This is very important, my dear children. This is so many times these questions were all asked. The conditions of subsidiary alliance. The first one is the Indian king had to keep the British in his kingdom. What is this? The conditions of the subsidiary alliance. Conditions. The ruler who accepted the subsidiary alliance, he had to keep the British in his kingdom, British army in his kingdom. The Indian king had to keep British army in his kingdom. First point. The second one is the state concerned. The state concerned means the state which has had accepted subsidiary alliance. The state concerned had to bear the expenses of the British army. ಇದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳೋದು ಕೋಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೊಡೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅಂತ. See, the British deploy their army in the native ruler's capital. The expenditure, the concerned state had to bear the expenses of the army and wages of soldiers, and also had to give certain revenue lands as well. See, to bear the expenses of the military and the wages of the soldiers, and at the same time they had to give some revenue lands. The third point is king had to keep British resident in his court. See, this resident will observe all the ongoings. What is the things happening will inform the Governor General. So they employ resident in the king's court. Third point. The fourth point is the king could not appoint any other European without permission of the British. See, king could not appoint any other European without the consent of, without the permission of British. Fourth point. The fifth point is, in order to enter into any agreement, any pact with any Indian state, the permission of the Governor General was mandatory. See, if the native ruler who accepted the subsidiary alliance, if he wants to any agreement with the native ruler, he should get the permission from the Governor General. This is the fifth point. The sixth point is, in return for all these services, the company would offer protection to state from any internal and external aggression. See, in return for all these services, the company would offer protection. See, they deploy the army, the company will give the protection to the native ruler. If any internal and external aggression occurs, they will means the British army will protect the native ruler. These 6 points are very important. These are the terms and conditions of subsidiary alliance. Once again, let us go through the terms and conditions of subsidiary alliance. The king had to keep British army in his kingdom. The Indian king had to keep the British army in his kingdom. First point. The second point is the state concerned had to bear the expenses of the army and the wages of the soldiers, and also had to give the certain revenue lands to the Governor General or the British. Third point, the king had to have British resident in his kingdom. The king could not appoint any other European without the consent or permission of British. Fifth, in order to enter into any pact or agreement with native rulers or with any Indian state, the permission of the Governor General was mandatory. In return, all these services, the company would offer protections to the state from any internal and external aggression. This is the terms and conditions. What are the benefits British will get from this? What benefits the British would get from this? See, the British could control Indian states through this policy. And maintain the army became, the maintenance of army became easy. See, the expenditure and everything will be borne by the native rulers. The second point, the Indian states were subjected to severe economic exploitation. This is the another consequences of subsidiary alliance. You know, the Hyderabad state was the first state. Hyderabad state was the first state to accept the subsidiary alliance. And later Mysore, Awadh, Tanjavur, Maratha, Berar, Arcot, Pune, Gwalior also accepted subsidiary alliance. See, let us see the results of that. See, the British could control Indian states through this policy, first point. And the maintenance of the army became easy. See, the maintenance of army is not an easy thing. It requires huge amount to maintain the army. But that amount is to be paid by native rulers. And Indian states were subjected to severe economic exploitation. When the Indian rulers economically weak, they could not do anything against the British. See, then Hyderabad was the first state to accept subsidiary alliance, and some other states also accepted. The remaining states are means Mysore, Awadh, Tanjavur, Maratha, Berar, Arcot, Pune and Gwalior are the other states who accepted the subsidiary alliance. Dear children, in the previous class we discussed first Anglo-Maratha war, and today in the beginning I explained Marathas and the Mysore states became weak, and it was misused by Lord Wellesley. Today we are going to see the tussle and political instability which occurred in the Maratha region. In the beginning I explained it. In the south region, Marathas and Mysore rulers became weak. It helped Lord Wellesley to extend his subsidiary alliance policy and to extend his territory. And the political instability and political turmoil was going on in Maratha region. The differences among the Maratha chieftains which led to the war. Who are the chieftains? Scindias of Gwalior. Scindias of Gwalior. And Holkars of Indore. Holkars of Indore. And Bhonsles of Nagpur. Bhonsles of Nagpur. Bhonsles of Nagpur. Then Gayakwads of Baroda. See, they were the leaders of Maratha Confederacy, and they are also called Maratha chieftains. There was differences among the Maratha chieftains which led to the war. There was enmity between Yashwantrao and Holkar family and Daulat-Rao of Scindia family. See, there was enmity between Yashwantrao of Holkar family and Daulat-Rao of Scindia family. Both wanted to establish their control over Peshwa Balaji Rao II. In 1802, see, who? Here, the Holkar family, Yashwantrao of Holkar family. Yashwantrao of Holkar family and Daulat-Rao of Scindia family. It was a tussle, means there was a tussle. The tussle was going on between Daulat-Rao and Yashwantrao. Both tried to control their power over Peshwa Balaji Rao II. In 1802, the army of Holkar defeated the armies of Scindia and Peshwa Balaji Rao II. Peshwa. Who was the Peshwa then? Balaji Rao II. The Peshwa appealed to the British for help. At that moment, Lord Wellesley finally got an opportunity to meddle with the affairs of Marathas. The Peshwa entered subsidiary alliance. See how Maratha region also fell into the hands of British through subsidiary alliance. Peshwa Balaji Rao II entered to subsidiary alliance system by accepting the Treaty of Basin. By accepting the Treaty of Basin. Treaty of Basin. See, through the Treaty of Basin, he accepted the subsidiary alliance. Other Maratha families like Holkar, Gwalior, and Bhonsle formed an alliance opposing the treaty. The leaders of Maratha chieftain, they opposed the treaty. Which was the treaty? Treaty of Basin. Lord Wellesley defeated the armies of various Maratha families from 1803 to 1805. See, in between 1803 to 1805, Lord Wellesley defeated the families, the Maratha chieftains and important Maratha families. But his battle thirstness increased the financial burden on the East India Company. On being criticized by the policy, Lord Wellesley resigned from his post and returned to England. He was very hungry to wage war against native rulers. See, you know that war is very, very expensive. Almost all the money drained to war. So many leaders, European leaders, criticized the policies of Lord Wellesley. Finally, he resigned and returned to England. This war is called Second Anglo-Maratha War. This war is called Second Anglo-Maratha War. Once again, let's recapitulate. The difference among the Maratha chieftains was the reason for the war, this war. There was enmity between Yashwantrao and Daulat Rao. Yashwantrao of Holkar family, Daulat Rao of Scindia family. Both wanted to establish their power over Peshwa Balaji Rao II. In 1802, the army of the Holkar defeated the armies of Scindia and Peshwa. Peshwa appealed Lord Wellesley. Finally, he misused the opportunity and defeated other leaders. Peshwa entered the subsidiary alliance by signing the Treaty of Basin. Thus, other Maratha families like Holkar, Gwalior, Bhonsle formed an alliance to oppose the treaty. In between 1803 to 1805, Lord Wellesley waged many wars over Maratha families and defeated. This is Second Anglo-Maratha War. Dear children, we discussed First Anglo-Maratha War and Second Anglo-Maratha War and subsidiary alliance. You know that through the cunning policies of subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse, they waged 3 Anglo-Maratha War, 4 Anglo-Mysore War, 2 Anglo-Sikh War. I hope you will learn these 2 Anglo-Maratha wars well. Sai Ram.